Hi, this is Rhiannon, and I'm here to tell you a story. So this is probably going to be a quick one, but I saw a video the other day that was absolutely hysterical. This woman has this massive hutch that she has identified she wants to put on top of this large counter in front of her space, and the hutch is probably as tall as she is and as wide as she is, this massive square with glass front paneling. And she records this video showing the painstaking effort she takes in order to get this thing up onto her counter, not using brute strength but smarts, and let sort of different efforts to leverage it up. And so she's not using, it would probably take two men, one on each side, to lift it up and set it there, but instead it took her a solid 4-minute video, probably longer, trying to figure out how to navigate it up. And then it was too tall to just place up on its side. So then she has to move another island in front of it to pull it down face forward, so that she can then turn it up onto its side and place it in spot. But it reminded me of the number of times that I've done that. And I resonated deeply with the video, which is funny in a not so funny way, but I am not the one who, when faced with something larger than I could reasonably pull, lift, whatever on my own, would say, oh, well, I guess I can't move that. Hogwash, I'm going to find a way. And I'm going to do it by myself, most likely, possibly putting myself in harm's way to do so. That's not always the smartest. I recognize that. But this is something that dates way back. So I'd sent that video to a couple of girlfriends, and one had commented, when there's a will, there's a way. That's exactly what I think. And so it reminded me back in the day when I was in 6th grade, I broke my wrist, my left wrist. I was doing something stupid. I'm sure we're not surprised by that. That's a big story for another day, but I had a full arm cast. So it was a pretty significant break, called the fork break, where the top of my wrist was over with my hand underneath, so it looks like a bent fork sort of situation. It was pretty uncomfortable. So anyways, I had this full arm cast because it was the first round of casting. So it's up to here, whole bent arm, and it's a little bit sore and tender. That first cast is on for only a couple of weeks before they swap it out for the mid-range version once that initial healing is in place. So you don't have that radial fracture, twisting and torque. All that to tell you that one day I had a wild hair. I don't know where my sister was because she wasn't at home, but my parents weren't at home either. And so that wasn't necessarily the norm. I was by myself. I decided I wanted to rearrange my room. That was a big deal for me when I was a kid. Rearranging my room is like this victory lap sort of moment where, you can't control everything else in your life, but you could rearrange your room, and it would just bring about an entirely new perspective on everything, obviously, because the configuration of your room was different. Putting things in different places, organizing things differently, splitting it all apart. So my sister and I shared a room together for a number of years, including at this point when I was in 6th grade. So I was 11 at the time. It was just before my 12th birthday when I broke my wrist. And so I'm at home by myself. My sister and I share a bedroom. Our bedroom set consists of solid, heavy oak furniture. So we have a bunk bed, we have a little table with 2 chairs, we each have a dresser, and we have a small bookcase. So that is our bedroom set. I decided I needed my independence, obviously. I'm in 6th grade, I'm very important, self-important. So I wanted to split apart our beds. Well, I didn't want to wait until my parents got home, or my mom got home, and she would tell me, I presumed, that she was tired from working a long day, she needed to get dinner ready or whatever. And so I decided I was going to do it on my own. Now, I was guessing. My mom would have been all game for us rearranging our room, but I was in my pre-teenager angst that I just needed to make this change immediately. It's kind of the equivalent of dyeing your hair as an adult female or young adult female. When things were getting weird or irritating or whatever, I would dye my hair, and it's like a whole new me, right? I don't do that anymore. I lash out in other ways. But back then, it was the room rearranging. So here I am by myself with my solid oak bedroom set, and I decide I'm going to take apart the top bunk from the bottom bunk. Now, this was a very sturdy set, as I said, solid oak, but on the base, the bottom bed, it had a backing that would become the headboards for each side. And then it had large spindles, like 3+ inch spindles that were on the outside, extruding from the top of that base. And then you would set the top bunk on top of those. So you've got a really solid, this thing is not shifting or going anywhere kind of situation. So they weren't screwed into each other. They were pegged on, more or less. So I didn't just have to lift the bed apart from one another. I had to lift it the extra 3 clearance inches plus in order to cantilever it over and then get the other side of it down and then pull the whole bed off the top off of the bottom and then move it to the other side of the room. I did all of that by myself with my full arm cast. And I still remember how I would like take one leg off and sort of make it so when it would come down, it would catch on the bottom bunk ledge so it wouldn't crush me as I mostly used my legs. I got under the bed first and I pushed up the outside of the top bunk and lifted and then got it kind of to a diagonal so it would sit down. And if I had misgauged that or done that wrong, it would have crushed me, right? So that's not super smart, but here I am doing it anyways. I don't even think I bothered taking the mattress off before I started this endeavor. I just was committed to the change. So I got the whole thing set and down, and then I used my cast arm, which, by the way, was actually kind of convenient because it wasn't going to give at all in my mind. It wasn't going to give. I probably could have broke the plaster. But I used it as additional leverage to shift the bed over and set it down so more of the weight was on the casted arm than the regular arm, so I wouldn't get bruises or what have you. Got the whole thing down, set up the bed on the other side, vacuumed the room. I moved, I got the Allen wrenches out and I took off the one, what would be footboard, and put it on the other side. So each of us would have a headboard and a footboard where the headboard would be taller. Each of those bases were from the bottom. I know that's complicated. It doesn't really matter. But I did all this rearranging by myself. Set up our room, new configuration. So when my sister came home, I kind of divided the room in half because she's 3 years, 3 months younger than me. And she was a bit of a Tasmanian devil as far as cleaning up things was concerned, and it used to make me nuts. So I was just the side of putting carpet down the middle of our bedroom, or a piece of tape along the carpet in the middle of our bedroom to distinguish between her side and my side. So I didn't have to clean up her messes anymore because that was just the most annoying thing as a very meticulous, overly mature child, 11-year-old. So when my parents came home, definitely my mom, and I don't remember if my dad was there with us at that time or not, but I got in trouble, huge trouble. I got in trouble for not rearranging my furniture, for bringing someone in the house when my parents weren't there. And I kept saying, I didn't bring anybody in the house. I did this by myself. There's no way you moved that bed. That thing weighs like hundreds of pounds. What are you talking about? There's no way you moved that bed with that cast by yourself. Surely you let someone in the house. You're not allowed to have people in the house when we're not home. I didn't let anybody in the house. I did this entirely by myself. I think I was driven by rage, although I don't remember what I was raging for. And it's kind of like that mom strength when, your child is in danger and the mom can lift a car. It was like that. It was like my prepubescent version of that. My rage, deep-seated rage for whatever stupid thing was causing the rage moment, leading me to need a dramatic change in my space, which I must confess certainly didn't have anything to do with my sister not cleaning up some space in our bedroom. That was for sure not the cause. But it's fascinating because I've done this countless times. And that was a really dramatic example, but I've done this countless times where I needed something changed and I was so motivated to have it changed. There was nothing that was going to keep me from making that change. It didn't matter how heavy the thing was, how impractical it was for me to move it. I was going to change it. It was going to be done, and I was going to do it by myself. No problem. That's fine. And so it's so funny how how you can do those things. And I have thankfully, seriously, thankfully, never injured myself doing those things. But the number of times I've been on the ground using my legs to push something that weighs way more than I should ever attempt to move or push or whatever, but using my legs to like anchor myself and then leg press the thing along the way until it was into the configuration or space that I wanted it in is it's a lot. So many times I've moved. I have a 6-drawer dresser, large low boy sort of dresser that I have DVDs in, and I have some CDs in the lower cupboard because I refuse to let go of these things, which is convenient, in fact, because just this last weekend, my husband wanted to watch the movie Men in Black. The only place to get it was Paramount Plus, which we don't have a membership for. And I said, well, did you check the drawer? Do we own it? Oh, and we do. Look at that. We didn't have to pay for something because we actually owned it already. Hot diggity. And thankfully, we still have a DVD player so we could actually watch it. But I moved that thing totally jam-packed, full of DVDs and CDs across the carpeted floor to get it reconfigured on the other side of the room. I didn't wait for someone to help me. I didn't unload the drawers. That would have been smart, and certainly a less dangerous way to do this. But no, I didn't do that. I moved the entire thing while sitting on my butt and pushing it intentionally and purposefully with my feet like I'm doing a leg press all the way across the room until it was in the spot that I needed it in, fabulously. So, when there's a will, there's a way. So I'm sure I will do this countless additional times in my life, and I'll probably get scolded by my husband for doing those dumb things, because I did that this last weekend as well. I started to move or lift something. What are you doing? No, I got that. You just stop. So I kind of wanted to lift it by myself just to prove that I still could. Not necessarily lift it, but move it, which doesn't require brute strength, just will desire to get it done. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed my ridiculousness in my childhood, which clearly I didn't get rid of then. And come back again. I'll tell you another story. Thanks.